Let's go.
Here we go.
There it is, man.
What's up, man?
Nothing in the world. How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I was all nervous and scared about the third-party rule. I didn't know if we could record.
yeah, that's I enjoyed that story because I love how fast it's been revealed that it was complete bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, it's like it took no time at all. Is my thing with that is the vibe that I got from the WWE third party. What's going to happen? What are they going to do? I hate to say this, but it's true. The vibe I got was like federal government vibes of like, well,
Yeah.
this is clearly bullshit. What are they actually doing? They're distracting us from.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but it was just well, technically, we actually own the copyright on your birth name. No, that's just John Cena. That's why it was a big deal when Cena did that. It's like that is so clearly crap. It's not true. WWE doesn't mean it. They're not. I don't know what they're up to. Surely it wasn't trying to get Jerry Briscoe out the door because they got in trouble for that anyway.
Yeah.
But
Man,
just,
I would have thought the whole Jerry Briscoe thing. I thought that had happened a while ago, and he was retired anyway. But apparently not.
yeah, I hadn't heard. I'm with you. Whenever it came up, I was like, wow, okay. I didn't realize that was still a possibility. I didn't know that was even something they could do, man. But
Yeah.
it's weird to me. Wrestle Talk has a lot of, they talk about it all the time. And all I can figure, I could be wrong, but all I can figure is that with all those dudes being English, man, it's like it's just because you don't live here. It's like this is not, Vince takes a hiding, excuse me, for a lot of his business practices, and they do suck. But it's like, dude, companies in this country do stuff like that all the time. It's like it's not uniquely him.
That's when I first heard the news come down, and on the surface, it makes a lot of sense uh, for a company to say, "No, you can't do that. You can't go on uh, your social media and talk about us or talk about what goes on here." But so I understand both sides of the story, but at the same time, you can't do that to an independent contractor.
That's right.
And this would be finally a hill worth dying on if everybody got together, and apparently, I guess they did.
That was the whole thing. That was the whole thing about that is like this will be the issue with independent contracting because if you're going to have a rule like that in your company, there's a process you go through as far as putting that verbiage. It's the same thing with like, well, Colin Kaepernick should be thrown out of the league. Oh, no, man. Policy on taking a knee, policy on protest, that's collectively bargained. As in, if you didn't put that verbiage in the contract beforehand, you can't just put it in there afterwards. It doesn't work that way. That's not
Yeah.
how that works. In Vince's case, there is no collective bargaining because there's no union. There's no union because they're independent contractors, and this is why you can't do nothing. And it's, again, as far as like, first of all, I'm not sure you can copyright somebody's birth name, but even if you could, it's not going to work. That's not going to hold up.
From what I understand, as far as the birth thing goes, it's just for the length of the contract.
Man,
And I don't know how true that is. It's just
yeah.
what
Well, I mean, the thing
you
is,
hear through the grapevine.
I guess my point is, and how come Vince isn't getting a cut on Batista's movie checks? I mean, people go to Hollywood all the time, and he don't get no money off of that. So I thought that was all BS. That just all that sounded fake to me. Because again, you've got the one story with John Cena, because Cena did sign his rights over, but that's why that was a story, because he did it. It's like there's no freaking way. I mean, I know companies in the country have all the stroke in the world, but they ain't got that much stroke.
And that's the type of thing that Vince would do when he does find that loophole in somebody's contract. He'll try to retroactively put it in everybody else's. That with certain talent he can do it, and certain ones are like, no, you're not going to do that.
It's true, man. That's why that Alan Jones guy is so unpopular with him, man. But on the subject of Alan Jones, I thought that conversation about AJ Styles is going to retire, he's going to leave WWE, you think he'll go to AEW? I'll tell you the impression I got from the AJ conversation that I heard on this subject. You remember? Sorry, man. This wasn't that long ago that this was put in these terms, and I love this. When Arn and Tully did, I think it was Jericho they did. I might be wrong. It might have been the AEW podcast, but it seems to me that it was Jericho. I
I know,
should remember that.
I know them together. They did it a few months back.
Yeah, man. And it was cool. It was real cool. But the question came up about, like, well, what happened to the original Horsemen? Why did that? How in the world did y'all not keep that going forever? And Arn Anderson's answer was basically, well, because Ole went and did exactly what he told us he was going to do. It's like a year in advance. He's like, my kid's going to be wrestling in high school. I'm going home to watch my kid wrestle. And he says, I think it was Tully. He's like, yeah, me and Rick the whole time were like, we'll get him. We'll convince him. It'll be okay. And then push came to shove, and he's like, he just
Yeah.
like dipped. And that was the same impression I got from AJ. He was talking about, yeah, man, the whole family got COVID-19 and we got sick and then we got feeling better and it's all good. And holy crap, I got to go watch my kid play sports and it was fun. Looking forward to that. So people are weird about it. Of course, turning it into an AEW conversation is dumb because the impression I got was AJ Styles got a nice glimpse at life after wrestling, and he dug it. He really
Yeah.
liked it. He just signed that huge deal, so good for him, man. Let him finish that one out. Go do whatever you want to, because God knows, man, as far as like quality wrestling matches, just, man, there's tapes of AJ Styles in every corner of the world, man. We'll be entertained for the rest of our lives if he never works again.
Yeah.
I just thought that was such a cool thing I mean, I know people are going, it's not clickbait if you don't say, oh, he's leaving. So I get that people do it that way. But I thought when I dug into that and found the actual content of what he was talking about, I'm like, well, that's just cool as hell. I like that. I also like that. I don't know if maybe this was one of his buds that he was talking to, but if he just gets on Twitch and has cool conversations, like that's a real dude conversation. Like, well, that's just neat as hell, man. Go on. Hope you have fun.
I mean, and that I think AJ even going into signing that last contract had been pretty blunt and told everybody, whichever one I sign is going to be the last one.
I thought so too. I'm with you. As like I thought that was pretty much his thing. Is like, oh yeah, it's 5 more years and I'm out. I'm with you. I thought that was part of it too. Was like, nah, man, we good. And that's cool. I love it. I'm like, that's good for you, buddy.
And I guess as far as the third party thing went, one of the things that it didn't dawn on me at first, but I got nervous and scared for Ruby Riot's channel, and it has different names. So I think a lot of that stuff is already being taken care of as far as people changing the names of their channels or handles or whatever you want to call it. But it got me nervous. Oh, I don't want that to go away. I really enjoy that.
That was one of the ones that I didn't hear people fussing about that one too much because they're ridiculous and probably don't watch it and should. I'm with you. That's a great one. But people were whining about the first two that people talked about were Up, Up, Down, Down, and Asuka's channel. It ain't called Asuka's channel. It's called Kana Chan for a reason. Up, Up, Down, Down is not hosted by Xavier Woods. Up, Up, Down, Down is hosted by Austin Creed. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. That's their stuff. It's their stuff, man. It's like if people learned the lesson from the Z True Hollywood Story, because he did that stuff by himself and got killed, but they never owned it. They never owned it. But his problem there was doing Zack Ryder. Of course, you can't use it. But I just didn't know why people went after those two to begin with. I'm like, nah, man, they protected them. The only WWE reference is in Xavier Woods' Twitter handle, and people change those every day of the week. He can go and fix it on the video. It's not a problem. So I just don't. It's kind of like the conversation we had a long time ago about YouTube trying to shore up against Ryan's World and how they want to cut now. Yeah. See, Vince is trying to do that, but he wants to retroactively do it, and he can't do it because, again, you've got no contract with people. It doesn't work that way. I don't know what you think your likeness rights is. If Alexa Bliss goes on TV as Alexa Bliss, yeah, that's your character. But Lexi Kaufman can take money from whoever the hell she wants to on whatever I don't remember what it's called, man. The one where the kid asked her out, that whole thing I thought just got treated ridiculously for a couple of reasons. One, I think the kid was just trying to have a good time. If it was worth him to spend that money to have a conversation with Alexa Bliss, ask her out, and get shot down, so what? That's his call. The other thing, and I'm not, you know how I feel about Alexa Bliss, but this is different. This is Lexi Kaufman. This is an actual human being. I thought she handled that mess like a champ. She was great about it. I thought she was so. I was like, man,
You could tell she'd been there before. I think.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. It's all like I don't think this is necessarily new. It's
Mhm.
just, hey, man, I'll pay you whatever it costs to have a phone conversation with Alexa Bliss, and it's all like, this ain't nothing she ain't heard of an autograph signing before, but at least this way she got a little money for it. But she
Yeah.
really did. I was impressed. I thought she handled it very well because it could have been like, ew, hell no, get out of here.
Gross.
But she
I don't
didn't
want your
do
money.
that. For real, take back your damn money. My God.
And I think that's kind of how that went down. As somebody in the office got in Vince's ear and just kind of realized, and how they caught wind of it, I don't know, but and I have no idea what amount of monetization uh, money these people are getting from YouTube channels. Uh, don't know, don't care. But from what the little bit that I've looked at Cameo, to me, it seems that most people are pricing that to a level like, I really don't want to do this, but
Yeah. Yeah, if you're crazy enough to
if you're
pay
gonna
me
pay it,
this,
then I'll do it.
yeah, totally. If you're nuts enough to give me X number of dollars, okay, I agree totally, man.
And then when you see, uh, just and I think the money that people get from that is a lot more direct, and I think, uh, some the WWE as a company is kind of like, wait. Now, how much money are y'all making? How can we try to get a cut of that?
Oh
And
yeah.
they'll try to spin it like, no, let us be the arbiter and get you the best deal,
Oh
so we can
sure.
take care of you.
Yeah, you don't need an agent. We're your agent. Yeah, it's like, okay, buddy.
Thanks.
Buddy.
And but and
Screw you,
you know,
buddy.
and I think the company and this smarter than do it. Like, we need to get a control on this before whoever it is ends up on OnlyFans, and how much to sell a picture of that coot.
Yeah, it's not again. I'm totally with you, man. It's like they're gonna. Vince thinks he's Walt Disney, so he's going to get out
Yeah.
front and get a cut of everything he possibly can. But I'm totally with you. It's like, see, this is where you screwed yourself up because
Mhm.
collective bargaining is a positive thing. Even if you want to go in and change the rule, but you still got to bring everybody back to the table. You ain't got a
Mhm.
table, so it's like
Yeah.
there's no leg to stand on here. And again, I don't even necessarily think that it's something he was trying to do. I'm just like, what are you covering up? What's actually going on? Because if you
Yeah.
need a distraction this big that's so clearly stupid and not going to happen, I don't know what's going on. That's kind of funky.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like I couldn't believe how upset people got. I'm like, this just sounds like complete bull. It's like I don't think this is real, y'all.
I don't I don't know anything about Twitch. That's just not my jam. But essentially, to me, it seems like you can just go straight into having a YouTube live stream, and it's a lot more video game related, which makes me out yet again.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
I'm weird about that stuff because I love video games, but like I've fallen prey to the curse of freaking World of Warcraft. I've got playing it.
okay,
My best friend has played it for 15 years, and I just finally started playing, and I really dig it.
cool.
But even that, I just like getting on and doing stuff I can do by myself. Even with
Yeah.
like when you do like the dungeon raids where you need like a party of 6 or 7 or I've never done one, so I don't know how many people are in there. But that's not my thing, man. Like
Yeah.
getting on the headset and talking to people. I've a couple of times I've gotten on with her and her husband and played, and it's a lot of fun when it's just us.
Hmm.
But even that, I like the stuff I can do by myself, man. I just go to different lands and take all the missions, and then once they get to the point that like, oh yeah, nobody can kill this by themselves, I'm like, oh, well, they can just live. Then I'll leave
Yeah.
and jump on my
Yeah.
dragon and fly away. But even the stuff that is like community based and like there's a major social component to it, I'm just with you. I like playing stuff by myself. I just
That's
do.
that's what got me out of console games currently. It's like, it feels like if you're not playing online, then you might as well not play, because you're not going to be able to really get the full experience and enjoy everything. So I'm like, you know what? I'll I'll play my old school stuff.
Yeah, that's all I do too. It's my thing. I think it's one of the reasons I've kind of stopped it. I considered a PlayStation 4, and now with the 5 coming out, the 4 will be nice and cheap. But the problem with 4, man, is the two games that I really wanted for PlayStation 4 would have been, I think it would have been last year's FIFA, because I wanted Mercedes Benz. I'm like, that would be so freaking cool to play as Atlanta United, but also to have the Benz on it. And it was. Atlanta United was on there, the Benz is on there, all that stuff is cool. But everybody says the game is crap now.
Okay.
I was going to do the same thing with 2K because I really wanted last year's Hawks team. I love the Hawks from last year so much, but same thing. Now 2K is no good, and it's kind of what you're talking about. I think it's comparable to what you're talking about, where if you don't take it online, you're barely playing. The problem with those is you still got to pay for the hardware, but then all the freaking downloadable stuff is still you're paying for like 40% of a game, and I'm like, dude, what the hell, man? If it's that, if there's still so much more to do on it, why am I paying you this much for it? And then you got to like all the downloadable stuff is extra cash. I'm like, you guys are nuts, man. So I'm just with you. I play all my old stuff. 2K16, 2K12. I love both of those. That's about all I get up to on PlayStation 3, except for got all my old Final Fantasy crap right there. These are the PlayStation 1 games for Final Fantasy. So those you play on the 3. Those are 2s you play on the 2. And it's so weird, as I like that series. I am god awful at every one of them, but I like that game a lot, man.
Oh man.
And then I know I've mentioned before on the show, Winning 11 I still play all the time, and Fire Pro I still play all the time. But and it's strange too, because I was talking to somebody online one time about Fire Pro World, and I was like, man, I love that they kept it the way it was. I think that's real cool. But to buy a PlayStation 4 and then to buy Fire Pro World for the New Japan roster that I've already spent time creating, I've already made all the people I want, and this is cruddy, but it's true. I've seen your Kenny Omega. I like mine better. Yeah. It took me a long time to get him, but once I got him, I'm like, oh, I like this. This is cool, man. So I really was looking forward to Trae Young and John Collins, but man, if the game's no fun, I'm like, oh, because it's really the last two, like 2K20 and 2K21, both really kind of got beat up, and I'm like, man. Part of me is like, don't tell me that, and then part of me is like, well, no, I'm glad you did, because you saved me some money, so I should be more grateful.
I hate hearing the news, but I appreciate the heads up.
Seriously, man, but it's better than I knew.
Yeah. Well, man, talking about the Benz, it was back in action today. Empty as hell. But yeah. Falcons will get used to playing to nobody. It feels like 1988.
Yeah, seriously, man. It's the poor Falcons, man. I really shouldn't say that, because I mean they're the home team. It's very weird. I was thinking about this earlier today. They really are the only Atlanta team that I don't just go gaga over. I think I've mentioned it before. I had a lot of friends. We have lots of friends for whom the Falcons are the thing. That's the number one thing. People that are Falcons fans, that's their thing, and I get it. It's just not mine. Basically, my Atlanta football dance card is full. I hope the Falcons do well because it makes people that I like happy. But, dude, if I was ranking my teams in this town, it's Hawks, it's Braves, it's United, it's 1,000 miles. And the Falcons are up there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's weird having United third, because basically it just tells you there's no breath between 1 through 3. But I like those teams. But I'd take the Dream over the Falcons. I follow them. I follow them more closely than I do. I just don't follow the Falcons. I like the NFL, but it's weird. Like we said, man, regular season I prefer to watch college, and then when you get to the playoff, well, it used to be that way anymore. So I watched a bunch of college football yesterday, and I should be happy because the Tech Florida State game was great, but I believe I called that one a few months ago. And again, you have to understand, this has nothing to do with Tech's going to be good. Tech's going to go to Florida State and upset them. It's, as I've told the man before, it's my conspiracy theory of all conspiracy theories. Atlanta's the only market you have in ESPN football country. That's it. That's it. So once they started propping up Collins, and once they put Collins in at Georgia Tech, it's like, well, Georgia Tech is going to be their LSU of the ACC, and they'll build us up. and we'll get wins, and it'll be glorious, and yeah, 404 Waffle House, woo, and all that stuff is great. But I can't help, I can't help the fact
I'll
that
tell you this.
I can't help that I've told people forever. It's cool to be excited about your college football team winning, but if you expect people to kiss your ring or your ass over your accomplishments, they're not gonna, because the shit's not real. If my guys start winning all the time, that shit won't be real either. And it
Yeah.
sucks. I know that we want people want everyone to be True Geordie. And I love True Geordie. I love that guy. But he talks so much crap about Man City all the time. And then the second oil people wanted to buy Newcastle, he was over the moon joyful. And it's like, it's not wrong to get upset that your team is doing well, but you can't trash other people for it. Can't do it.
Yep.
And I've trashed other people for it. So now I'm not getting over the moon on my guys.
Cool.
And we stole Pittsburgh's uniforms, man. I feel
Oh,
bad, but we did.
what's up with that?
Oh, Tech's wearing blue pants now. Basically, we've
Ah,
just stolen Pittsburgh's uniforms. They're all right. It's just I love our colors, and it's stupid. But when Adidas got the contract, one of the first things they did when they came out, they were like, "Georgia Tech fans, pay attention. This is 745679 Lottie Da, whatever it was. It's like this is your shade of gold. This is Lottie Da Woody Hoo Hoo. This is your shade of white. This is so and so Luhu. This is the shade of navy. From now on, if it's a product at Georgia Tech, these are the colors. Because you've seen it. You've lived here your whole life too, man. Tech stuff is 9,000 shades of yellow to gold. It's black, it's blue, it's everything. Adidas says these are the colors. This is what it will be. And it's great. The stuff they do
yeah.
is the basketball uniforms are amazing, and the softball, baseball stuff is just great. Football stuff, Georgia Tech's helmet's always been massively underrated. That's a great look. The rest, that's okay. I've veered off. I'm sorry about that, but it was
Oh man.
obviously I'm glad they won, but it's just like I just can't get too excited about it because I don't think it means anything. But hey, man, 1-0 feels nice.
Yeah, man. I'll take it.
Yeah, 1-0 feels nice. It's just
Man, that's one of the things that dawned on me watching baseball the other day. And I'm probably behind the times on this, but is Russell Athletics even a company anymore? I don't think they are.
I
Because
think they
I
they
think
still do.
Nike's making like everything in baseball right now.
Yeah, baseball, yeah, which I always thought was hilarious because all you heard for 25 years, baseball's dying, baseball's done, no one cares about baseball. What, Nike? Yeah, all of a sudden Nike gets that contract, and Nike got that contract. They got the NFL contract. I'm pretty sure they've got the NBA contract. Um,
I,
I, I think
I just assumed if Russell exists, then I guess Nike may have bought him, or
it's
maybe
possible.
not.
I think Russell's still doing that like champion thing. They still make
Okay.
stuff, just not at that level. Yeah, Georgia Tech was like Russell's last holdout. They held on forever, and then basically the Nike deal, because that was everybody's thing. Is Georgia Tech's got to be a Nike? It's like no, University of Georgia is Nike, so Tech's not going to sign that deal. That won't happen. It won't happen. But it's kind of like Neymar, the Brazilian soccer player, who just left Nike yesterday to sign with Puma. It's kind of the same thing as like Steph Curry. Well, Steph Curry's shoes are Under Armour. They're not Nike. Have you seen his contract? The man's got the biggest shoe endorsement contract ever. That includes LeBron. And it's because he went to Under Armour, because he's the man there.
Yeah.
Tech's the same way at Adidas. I mean, Adidas does more than just our stuff, but as far as the SEC ACC stronghold, man, they took it very seriously. They went buck wild crazy, and we're all like powdering our butt and telling us how wonderful we were. So we signed with Adidas. It's all good, man. The stuff looks great. It really, again, the baseball stuff is incredible. They've got really good stuff over there. But yeah, I didn't mean to get so off on that. But I guess I've been waiting my whole damn life for a real good company to do tech stuff. So I'm glad we got one now, man.
Cool.
Yeah, dude.
I'll have to get a better look at that stuff.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know how long football will be back, but it's back. So I was, had plenty of that to watch today. I just didn't outside of the Falcons, I was like, that didn't go so well, so I didn't see much of it.
I think you're. This sounds really cruddy, but it's true. Oh, excuse me. As far as COVID-19 is concerned, you will need high-profile players dead before they'll even acknowledge it's a thing. Because what they've been trying to do this whole time is the NBA bubble. Have you seen the bubble? The NBA, they're in a bubble. Have you seen the NBA bubble? Oh man, bubble. They have been waiting for a COVID outbreak in the bubble. Because then, if that doesn't work, there's no, what the NFL's doing is totally fine. It's completely okay. It didn't work when they bubbled up. It didn't work, so this was always going to be okay. That was what they wanted. They didn't get that information, but that's what you're going to hear anyway. Doesn't matter. You were hoping for something to back up your story, but it's the media. If you don't have what you need to back up your story, you run the story. You run the story anyway, because that's what they do. But yeah, people can get sick, people can spread it, people can do anything in the NFL until Tom Brady is like coughing up a lung. They will never acknowledge anything going on there. It won't happen. This is not real. But anyway, it's just all good, man. It's nice having football back. I had a fun time watching games today. I was telling the man earlier, I should be keeping an eye, but I'll watch it when I get back in there, man. But Rams and Cowboys, I got to keep an eye out for somebody needs to call Ernestine and tell her to put Ernestine on suicide watch, because I'm telling you, if Skip Bayless has a weekend where LeBron makes the Western Conference Finals, Kawhi hasn't yet, Aaron Rodgers went buck wild in Minnesota, Cameron Newton won his first game in New England, Tom Brady lost his first game in Tampa, and the Dallas Cowboys lose too. Oh man, I'm telling you, dude, Shannon needs to be nice to him tomorrow morning. Need to bring him a case of Diet Mountain Dew, because that's a rough day. Didn't even mention Baker Mayfield, what happened to him, which I love, because I think Baker Mayfield's a sawed-off little shit. Speaking of which, man, you want to talk about the biggest candy ass in sports? Here he is. Baker Mayfield. Did you hear his bullshit about like taking a knee during the national anthem?
No.
He changed his opinion. He decided, well, I was going to take a knee, but I decided not to, because if I took a knee, I hope I get the quote right. I know I got the word right. I hope the quote's right. If I took a knee, that's only going to cause more division and discussion. Well, more discussion is kind of what people are after, you dumb shit, but that's not the point. The point is, what happened to Baker Mayfield was he wanted to be little Mr. Cool Tough Guy, and he wanted to show some unity with the brothers in his locker room. Right up until the people in Kansas City booed the arm in arm, hey guys, let's get rid of racism. Literally, a racism is bad show of unity got booed in Kansas City, and Baker Mayfield crapped his pants. Yeah. He's a chicken shit. That is the most. I can't stand that guy, and that's why. Don't try to be Johnny Tough Guy and then go running. You have to make decisions like this based on what you actually want to do, not what it's going to do for your brand or how cool it's going to make you look, because when you make decisions based on that, you wind up welching like this and looking like an absolute punk. And no one will call him out on it, but I just did.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Baker. I hope you're watching. It's like, dude, that is the most just candy ass. You got to be kidding me. Like, what a crock. That is so, because again, to come out and tell everybody you're going to do it's bad enough because it's just showy. But then you got to walk it back because you don't want to, because, well, I might hurt my brand. Yeah, because a couple of people in Kansas City booed. Coward.
Can't let this affect my image in the community.
Coward. Absolute coward. And that's my point, man. If you want to be Michael, and it's all about that bottom line, at least walk it the way he did. At least Michael walked it, because all this crap now about humanitarian Michael Jordan, he's the one that's negotiating with the players union and the owners. No, all of that is after the fact crap created by other people, because you realize that, oh yeah, LeBron opened that school, didn't he? And it hurts, because when you start doing that social byline, because in the NBA that means something, Michael doesn't look so good. But it's got nothing to do with him. The thing with Michael is he was who he was, and he is who he is. This is you guys trying to create this junk, man. Leave it be. If he don't ask you, Michael don't need your help. Leave him alone. Yeah. I hate that stuff, but it does tell you. It tells you an awful lot about where they see chinks in the armor. because, I mean, Kareem has been absolutely derided forever. You got that picture. Jalen Rose has that picture on his little stupid show with whatever Jacoby. God, that's the worst show on TV, man.
Yeah.
And it's the famous photo, and I'm an idiot, and I cannot believe I don't remember who it is, but it's this famous assembly in like 60, probably 7 or 8. And it's a very famous picture because Muhammad Ali's in that picture. Have you seen it? Muhammad Ali, he's right there in that picture. And guess who's right next to him? Right next to him. A 19-year-old named Louis Alcindor. And nobody talks about that, but you should. But you should. But Kareem had the audacity to be like, Mike, you're a little greedy there, man. And that was the end of that. Most points in history, as many rings as Mike, more MVPs than Mike, more NCAA championships than Mike, more everything than Mike. But
Phone
he
just
had
tried
the.
to turn heel on me.
It's all good. Hey, man, thank no iPhone, heal. More everything than Michael, including balls. And he gets killed because he told Mike to stop being so damn greedy. Maybe help out. Maybe do something for the community. But now we got to pretend that he does because, well, he's doing the good negotiation. Stop, man. Just stop. Leave it alone. Like I said, Michael ain't begging you for no damn help. Leave it alone. Michael's fine because at least he's real. At least he's honest about what he is, man.
Yeah. On Front Street with every bit of it.
He is, seriously, man. But man, I mentioned a minute ago about all the stuff. Here's the thing that I'm so happy about, and I need to go back to happy stuff because I'm sitting here complaining about Michael Jordan and what's the point? Michael's fine. I shouldn't be killing Michael. Mike's okay. Oh God, on the subject of Michael Jordan, I am here to tell you on Saturday afternoon, you would have thought that not only did nobody except the University of North Carolina play football, you would have thought that nobody but North Carolina had a team. They had a little post-game interview with Mac Brown that was on for like 45 minutes. It's like, dude, how much more can he talk about?
Yeah.
But what I was laughing at, because, obviously Michael does the uniforms for the football team. He should. Hey, man, it's North Carolina. He does them all. That's great. But I swear to God, I don't know what the man's name is, but apparently the person that the field at North Carolina is named after is named Smith. It's not the stadium, but it's the field. So all you see when, hey, man, he's up there doing his thing is that right here in the background is a little sign that just says Smith Field. And I'm like, God, they named the football field after Dean, too. That's all I can think. It's like they named everything at that school after Dean Smith. That'd have been hilarious, man.
I'm still here.
Yeah, seriously, man. I am UNC.
You can't escape me.
Yeah, for real, UND. But man, here's something that I am overwhelmingly happy about. Excuse me, my favorite thing in sports. I think I mentioned this before. I said this to my friends, and I will say it this way now. These fellas right here, my guys that I love, are struggling mightily. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you that this here hat has never been more comfortable on my head than it is right now, I can't overstate how much I love this awful team because they're mine now. It's so stupid. Yes. I was talking about buddy Darian. Darian is that is my United tag team partner. She is the biggest fan I know. She's the smartest fan I know. And that's who I discuss the game with. And we have a great time and it's awesome. And we were talking about it the other day. And I think the way I described it to her is how I'm going to do it now because I liked it. Sorry. It's what we're talking about. If you live in this town, you have struggled. There is no team in this town that's just good all the time. Especially Jared and I in particular are in a really unique position as Braves fans because we were little kids when they were the absolute scourge of baseball. So 1991 was real special to us because we'd seen them be so bad. So it was cool. So we've seen them come on up and be the mighty Braves, but it was cool because they were bad to begin with. That was great. United's bad now. So the thing that happens when you have a team that's bad is this, and I never experienced this before because I've never had one be this good and then be so bad immediately. Part of that's built into Major League Soccer because it's not just a salary cap, it's a hard cap. It is enforced. It's not like, oh, well, you can just pay the luxury. Ain't no luxury tax in Major League Soccer. You absolutely cannot do it. Yeah. So it's like the NHL. you're good, you're not so good. You're good, you're not so good. And the guys that weren't so good before, hey, look at them now. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's how it works, and it's better for a league, especially like Major League Soccer, that needs to thrive. That's the better way to do it. It's really smart. We've talked about it before, man. You go to single table, Atlanta United will own the league in 5 years, but they'll bankrupt it in 3. So what's the point?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when your teams start out so great and now they're not quite as good as they once were, this is where you find out if it was about the band or was it about the scene. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you find out now, man. And
Yeah.
Darian and I are still dancing, buddy. This is our
Still.
team. I love them, and the return is going to be already. It's already like, ooh, we're going to get back in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. But it's fun. I love them. I feel bad for them because boy, Nashville beat the crap out of us the other day. But hey, man, it's all good. It's Atlanta. We'll be fine.
And speaking of Nashville, I heard some of the news this other week. Or Justin Timberlake is looking at bringing a baseball team.
How cool is that? I thought that
I,
was awesome. It's
it's a good
weird because
idea.
it's
It's a good
wait a minute.
spot.
Wait a minute, man. Nashville is Braves country, Justin Timberlake, but that's okay, man. I can't be mad at him because that would be awesome, man. That'd be real
Yeah.
cool.
It's they mentioned the name of the other investor on uh, the Braves broadcast the other day, but it was one of those names that you can. I should know that name, but
Daniel
it was
Snyder,
yeah.
Nashville Redskins.
Yeah. I'm back, baby.
Exactly. Don't you kill me.
But everything I've heard coming out of Nashville the past several years, it's like, you know, y'all think Austin's a hot spot. We're about to show you what a hot spot really is.
Nashville's a happening little place, man. You're right. It's very, very cool, and it's stupid, but I would love it if they got a baseball team. That'd be really cool. I don't know. This is really stupid and jumping the gun. I don't know if they'll be NL or AL. I kind of hope they're National League, and this is really stupid, but we've talked about it before. I I'm far from the person to do this because I don't follow the NFL closely enough to put myself in a position to do it. But here I go, putting myself. I want to realign the NFL so bad it's killing me because I want to curse the AFC South to be the Houston Texans and all 3 garbage Florida teams. That's what I want. That's what it should be. I wish that was the AFC South. I feel bad for Houston, but that's what I want to do. Primarily because what's the closest NFL town to Houston? New Orleans. You ain't getting in the NFC South. That's not going to work. I'm sorry you can't do that, and here's why. An NFC South represented by the cities of Atlanta, New Orleans, Charlotte, and Nashville would be so awesome. I wish the Titans were the NFC South so bad. It's killing me, and it's dumb, but it's Nashville for God's sake. Nashville, Atlanta would be killer. That's why I was so glad they got the MLS team. It's like, oh, that's neat. So if we can go from no sport rivalries to 3 inside of a decade, that'd be awesome. I would love
Yeah.
it. That'd be so cool, man.
And that's what they were talking about when it got brought up on the broadcast. That they see expansion happening within the next 5 years.
Be
So,
great, man.
man,
I'd
it's
love it.
a good spot.
Yeah, I think that's real cool, man. It would be neat for, golly, they'd have 3 then, wouldn't they? Because that's where the
Yeah.
Titans are, and that's where the Predators are, and they'd have a baseball team too. That would be sick, dude. Be cool. They might steal the Grizzlies from Memphis. I think they're I think the Grizzlies are on that Seattle short list. There's always, well, who's going to move to Seattle? What team's going to move? They talk about that all the time. And as far as I know, the teams that come up the most often are the Kings and the Grizzlies. And somebody had the Hawks at one time, but it's like, ain't been to that stadium lately, have you? The Hawks ain't going
Yeah.
nowhere. I don't
Yeah.
think the Hawks are going anywhere.
I think the Kings got a new one not too terribly long ago themselves. So like
Man,
we're here.
yeah, I'm weird about the Sacramento Kings because I get it, okay, but I don't know, man. It's the only professional team that Sacramento has, and I don't know. I just feel I definitely think Seattle should have a team, but Sacramento has never seemed to me to not support the Kings. And they've had some pretty
Yeah.
crap seasons, but they get behind them. It's like I don't. It just feels wrong to steal. Okay, it's the only pro sports team you have. Not anymore. That just feels
Yeah.
like crap. And surely there's somebody in the league that is not getting supported properly that they can move to Seattle. I hope it's not the Kings. I like the Kings.
Heck yeah.
Although I read something the other day. It was very cool. It was an article about it was basically let's make fun of the Lakers for being called the Lakers, which is true. It's totally true. But it was talking about how just the NBA has several teams whose names don't make sense since they moved. Excuse me. And Memphis Grizzlies was one of the ones they picked.
Yeah.
Um, Sacramento Kings was one they picked. And I'm like, well, the Kings are okay. That works. But it turns out
Jazz.
that's the number one is like, I really do. I think it's awesome that Charlotte got Hornets back. I really wish now that New Orleans has a basketball team, they can get Jazz back. But I don't know. I haven't come up with anything to change Jazz to. But it's interesting. That's actually how I stumbled on that article because I was just looking for ideas. Okay, what's Utah? What's Utah known for, man? I need to come up with a name because if I can't come up with a name, then I can't rightly ask you to get rid of Jazz. But
They're all I've ever known.
yeah, seriously,
So
I'm like,
that makes it kind of hard for me because that's all I've ever known them to be.
for real.
So now I'm like, I don't have a good replacement. That's all I've ever known the Lakers to be. So
Me
I'm like,
too. Lakers.
when you stop and think about it, it is silly, but that's all I've ever known them as.
Lakers ain't never changing. You're right. It's too dyed in the wool now, man. It's not going anywhere. But they were talking about changing Sacramento Kings. And I'm like, yeah, okay, it'd be cool. And it turns out the reason that the person that wrote the article suggested changing Sacramento Kings is because they wanted to change Memphis to the Kings. It's like a Graceland reference. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. I didn't think of it at all until I read the article. And I'm like, oh, you're thinking, buddy, that's good.
It's a man with a plan.
I loved it. I'm like, that is so awesome, man. I'm on your side now, buddy.
Yeah. I'm down. I can get behind that.
I can get behind that.
Heck yeah. I hope that happens now.
Seriously, man.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to change the name of the Kings, I don't know. I want to call them the Sacramento Ladybirds because that's where Greta Gerwig is from, and she got that great. It's at the end of that movie, man, and she got that great like just shot of like some graffiti, some like Kings supporting graffiti, and I'm like, God, that's cool. That's such a neat thing to throw in. It's like if you go downtown and make a movie right now, how in the world do you not get the Big Boy and Andre mural? That thing is beautiful, man, and it's like, yeah, you'd have to get that in there. That would be just totally awesome.
That was. From what little bit I heard about the talk of the Nashville baseball team, they're already calling them the people that are wanting this. I've already called them the Nashville Fireflies. And
right on. Hey, man.
It sounds a little minor league, but I like it.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool if you already know what you want to call the team. That's great, man. Hey, dude. So's you're serious, and Titans is taken. Predators is taken.
Yeah.
That would be freaking awesome. But yeah, like we're talking about, man. It's like, dude, we had the hockey team, and then they left. Then Nashville got one. So like, damn, it reminded me of like when Cincinnati FC was already a thing. They just weren't in Major League Soccer. And then right when Cincinnati joins Major League Soccer, they're talking about moving Columbus to Austin, and I'm like, that would be so cool for Columbus and Cincinnati to get to compete because they don't have a team, and that's the only league they got a team in, or each one of them has a team in. So I'm glad they stayed. I'm glad that's still a thing because that's cool. They're not that far apart, man. So it's really cool. Ohio's sports obsessed anyway, but Cincinnati and Cleveland are way further apart than Cleveland and Columbus. So I'm like, oh, I like this. This is cool. I said Cleveland and Columbus. I'm sorry, I meant Columbus and Cincinnati. But yeah, man. If we get a Nashville baseball team, I don't know why ALNO matters. It doesn't. We play interleague, so we can get them on there. But it's cool. I thought that was pretty neat.
For some reason in my head, just growing up in a National League city, American League just seems so West Coast. West Coast and Northeast. Everything else should be National League.
Yeah, it's weird. That's an interesting point, man, because I'm with you. And it's strange, too, because the AL – I love American League Baseball. I just like baseball, but I actually prefer National League Baseball, but I don't think that exists anymore. Like we talked about, man, people are going to like that DH, and I do, and I love like we talked about with the extra inning rule. I also like the 7 inning doubleheaders.
I like that a lot.
Me too, and I totally missed it because for some reason, I just misinterpreted the rule when I first heard it, and I thought that it was the second game was 7 innings, but apparently it's each one of them is seven, and I'm like, nah,
Yeah,
that's way better. That makes way more sense. I don't know how I got that wrong, but I'm glad I did because it's like, oh, 2 7 inning guy. I like this. This is cool, man. So I love it.
that's what I like. The ICL Puig moved to Atlanta before the season has almost happened. Everybody was like, "Well, we got kind of a loaded outfield. Why would they get him?" Like, he's going to be a DH.
That's right. Ain't gonna be nice. That's what
You don't have
everyone's
to worry
doing.
about him playing out there.
Absolutely,
And
man. Like, no,
it,
no,
it,
no.
things ended up working out the way they were supposed to because Marcell Ozuna has been going off like a mug.
Are
So,
not kidding, brother.
so everything has worked out.
Yeah, man. It's like it's cool. He was one of those cats that when you hear he's coming to Atlanta, like, oh, that's cool. Especially
Yeah.
just like you're saying, when you find out the DH is the thing, like, oh my, it gets you real excited, man.
I see.
Yeah, for real, man. But it's those boys, and I know it's baseball, man. Baseball, you got to wait and see, but those boys are impressive. And every time
Yeah.
I haven't seen, it's not like I set the clock to watch them, but every time I've caught them, I've been impressed, man. Like, oh my god, and the other day, I think it was Washington, like 2-1, man. It's like God, they can even grind them out, man. Like,
Yeah.
oh boy, because if these guys can win tight games, they can win everything.
I set a record, a Braves record for not just an Atlanta record team. Or as playing the Marlins the other night, scored 29 runs. That was, and Adam Duvall became the first player to have 2 3-run home games in the same week.
Holy smokes, man!
I want to say uh, there was somebody that dug up a stat where Lou Gehrig had done it, but it was in like a what happened was I want to say the games were like back to back, but it wasn't back to back. But Lou Gehrig had done it in a short amount of time, but I think one game was like a doubleheader or something like that. But
Yeah,
anyway, it was some type of technicality thing.
yeah, so
But the
funky.
point is, it happened.
Yeah, dude, seriously, man.
But at first, they were just trying to think if this had happened in the same season,
No.
and I think that's what it was. It was the first time it happened in the same season. Lou Gehrig had done it in the same season, but I think Adam Duvall had done it in the shortest amount of actual days on the
Yeah,
calendar.
I got you. Yeah, man.
That's what all of it was. You know, I'm sure they explained it. I'm sure even Jeff Francoeur probably explained it a lot better than I
Hey, man.
did.
When it's sports stats and it's baseball, that's some
It gets
thick alphabet.
convoluted quick.
That's some thick alphabet soup, buddy. It's like,
Yeah,
oh boy,
and
we
and
got
then
a
there's
base. We're baseball. We got a number for everything.
huh? and Skip Carey has that same kind of way of explaining things that his dad did, where sometimes he'll say it and like I don't think that's what you meant to say, but it turns out it's right, but it's just kind of like he has just a way of saying things. Like I don't always follow the thought process. Where it's like, what? No, what did you just say?
Oh man,
What
Skip's
do you mean by that?
Collins. My favorite thing on Skip's Collins show is about about once a season. About once a season, somebody would call him up and ask him to explain the infield fly rule.
I
And
do.
he had that thing memorized. You could tell he had answered that question so many times. And it was funny because it's Skip and he's got that sardonic kind of delivery. So you could literally tell it's just like, if I have to go over this one more time, I'm going to come to your house and kill you and your family. Stop asking. Because
Yeah,
it sucks because the infield fly rule, well, I used to think the infield fly rule was difficult to explain. And then I figured out how to explain it to people. But I just felt bad for him because you could
yeah,
just tell him he wouldn't even let him finish the question. He would just go into the robotic monotone, the prepared statement. It was
yeah.
awesome, man.
And the long and short of any rule in baseball, if you can quote it word for word, it is still up to whoever's on the field at the time and what they see.
Yeah, that's my thing with infield fly. In my opinion, the easiest way to explain the infield fly rule is not what is the rule, but why it's a rule. When you
Yes.
explain
Mhm.
why it's a rule, it makes a lot more
Yeah.
sense.
It's
So,
trying to
oh, okay.
take away the advantage that a team could have of just uh, getting runners to advance without get. I'm not even explaining it very well, but in theory, runners could advance very easily on a not well hit ball. That's the long and short of it.
It's silly. That my explanation of it is kind of silly,
Mhm.
but this is the best way I can explain it. Let's say, and this is we're jumping around. We're jumping through eras. We're jumping around. Let's say Atlanta's got Marquise Grissom on first.
Mhm.
Let's say that Javier Lopez hits a little fly ball to the shortstop. Okay, if you're the shortstop, it's better for you to get Marquise Grissom out than Javi Lopez, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so in to keep the shortstop from tanking the play
Yeah.
and letting the ball hit the ground, where you then would pick it up, throw it to second, and he's gone.
Yeah.
That's why the infield fly rule exists.
Mhm.
That's the thing is that it seems crazy. The infield fly rule actually has nothing to do with offense. That's why it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. It's
Yeah.
just about keeping the defense from jaking it on plays to get an advantage. That's the point because that's again, if
Mhm.
you hit the ball, and you're jaking it to first and kind of loping and stuff like that. If I let it drop, flip to second real quick, and throw down to first, that's 2 outs, and it's like
Mhm.
that they decided that's crap. So
Mhm.
I'm sure Cobb came up with it, or somebody in the 1840s was all like, "Hey, you know what we can do? We can job these guys," because everybody cheated back in the day.
There are times when it's more beneficial to just let it drop
Exactly. That's
and
the
just take
thing.
that away.
If you can turn it over and get two, great. But if you can get the faster runner out, I think
Mhm.
that's the most basic implementation of it. Is like it's kind of a crappy backhanded way to get a guy's good base runner out. So they don't let you do it. They just call
Yeah.
the out, and it's like, nope, that's that. So now you can let it drop,
Mhm.
and it won't do you any good. You
Yeah.
knucklehead.
But it's there's whenever it's called on the field, there's never like a discernible sign because every time it's called, everybody's going, "What just happened?
Yeah.
Huh?"
For the most famous incident of the infield fly rule in recent baseball history.
Oh yeah, in
And
the outfield.
yeah, boy howdy. Yeah, the guy, first of all, like you said, he's a left fielder. And secondly, I, I need to watch that video again because I'm telling you, that guy's doing this,
Mhm.
and it ain't no thing. And after the fact, when they throw the ball to third, that's when you have the umpire on third do that number right there. And it's like, if it took you that long, but here's my thing. I think I have it incorrect. And here's why I think I have it incorrect. I've tried to explain this to people when it happened. That was the first series. They made a huge deal about this. That was one of the first, I think it was the first year in the playoffs, they had umpires in the corner infield, where you had
Mhm.
not just the infield guys, you had guys in the outfield. So dude's drifting back, drifting back, drifting back. It's all good, la di da. And you have the umpire in left field say infield fly. Well, if you're a shortstop and you're drifting back on a fly ball and you hear any voice coming from behind you, what do you assume it is? I got it.
I got it. Yeah.
I got it. Absolutely. And that's why the guy pulled off and the thing dropped in. And it's like, the hell, bro? But
Yeah.
that's where I think I've got the call from the third base umpire wrong because I think that what he's doing was he was relaying the call. I was
Mhm.
furious when I saw it and I was like, I'll bet you that that's what happened there because
Mhm.
it's just like it would have been. He would have been like, "What the hell is going on?" He was thinking what we were thinking. It's still a god awful, terrible call to invoke the infield fly right there. But I do because that was what made me so mad was how long it took them to do it. And then I was like, I don't think it took them that long. It took me a
Yeah.
while to see it, but then it's like, okay, but I was mentioning that, so he was like, "No, man, that guy, he had it, man. It's like, no, the guy's like, he lost it. The guy totally lost the ball. He lost the ball." I'm like, have you ever lost a fly ball? Because I know what
Mhm.
happens when you do. Remember when Bryce Harper lost that fly ball at the All Star game? It was great. He was so
Yeah.
great. It was like,
Help.
seriously, just shaking his head.
Yeah.
You do not stand under a fly ball that you've lost and just stand there because guess what it's going to do if it comes down and finds you? It's going to
Yeah.
kill you.
Yeah.
It's gonna cancel off. Well, no, man. You're out there, you play, and you call it, and you say you got it, but you don't. And I'm like, yeah, I've done that before, playing with my cousins in the backyard. You know what? I've never done it in a major league playoff game. You numpty. You are making things up. That guy had the ball. I guarantee you, he let it drop because he heard the voice coming from behind him, and he assumed it's what you would always assume it was. Because to be fair to him drifting back, if the left fielder calls you off, he does have a better beat on it. He's coming in on it, man. He's an outfielder, which makes the infield fly rule even stupider, like you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm sure that's what happened. And I still hate that so much because that's the night everybody threw shit on the field. And
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but it's like, y'all, that's Chipper's last game, man. And it's
Yeah.
what a terrible thing I hate that. And it's cool. I mean, he's been back and he don't care, but I just hate it for him, man. Hate it for
Yeah.
us.
That's if you're not familiar with it, go look up. Just Google Turner Field infield fly. I think it's 2018.
Yeah.
You'll have yourself a fun little video
Make
watch.
yourself a good time. You can walk on to it.
Oh man, now, it was longer ago than that, 2012 or something. Anyway, I
I
was
think
thinking, it was earlier. Anyway,
nah, you're
it,
right. It was 12 or 13. It was Chipper's last game, and that I'm pretty sure that 2012 Braves team is my god dang. We've seen some good Braves teams, but that 2012 team was fun. Man, they were
yeah,
fun.
I was for some reason I was just thinking that, well, as soon as Chipper leaves, they go to Truist, but they were still at Turner Field for a few more years. I think it's 2011, 12, somewhere
Yeah,
in there.
somewhere in there, man. Freddie
Yeah,
Freddie became the man before he moved to the new park because they built
yeah,
it for him, which I love. I mean, that sounds cruddy, but I'd build Freddie Freeman a park.
yeah.
I would totally build Freddie a park, man. You was
It's
telling
going to be
me.
a good idea.
I was gonna say, man, I was gonna talk about the Mike Bryce Harper talking about him, but that was you telling me that. That was so cool. That was such a cool thing for him to do, where they had Bryce mic'd up for one of the games, and as soon
Oh
as
yeah,
Freddie gets in the box, he's like, "This dude right here, man."
yeah. This guy, brother. Let me tell you,
His credentials are. Oh, what does he say, man?
credentials are unparalleled.
Yeah, oh, I can't believe I forgot that. Wally Carbo and Grand Wrestling promoter. Wally Carbo.
Stop it. It was one of those games that they were in Philadelphia, and I thought it was bad enough when they had guys mic'd in the dugout, but they have Bryce mic'd up on the field,
Yeah.
and he's out there in right, and Freddie Freeman's coming up, and he's just like talking to the guys up in the box. Like, I tell you, this guy's the most underrated guy in sports, not baseball, sports.
Man, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I love Bryce. I'm with you. I like Bryce because I think he's a really good player, but also Bryce Harper. I think there were a lot of people that wanted him to be Todd Marinovich as
Mhm.
far as like Papa's test tube baseball player, and they
Yeah.
wanted him to be Todd Marinovich all the way down to where once he gets out and sees the bright lights in the big city, he loses his mind. And boy, Bryce got a good head on his shoulders, man. He's cool. That guy seems really cool. And like we talked about, one of my things about him that I enjoy, obviously for competitive reasons, I hate that he stayed in the NL East, but
Mhm.
there's something about being the guy that looks at Philadelphia, that fan base and their reputation is like those guys. I'm going to go
Mhm.
play for those guys, and I dare you to boo me. I
Yeah.
love that. That is such a cool thing, and I think that Philly, I think that's why they love him because they're all
Yeah.
like, oh man, if this idiot's going to come here and play for us, he's got to be nuts. We love
Yeah.
him. I think that's so cool, man.
We love a good psycho.
Dude, serious for real, man. Anybody crazy enough to come play for us, man? We love that guy.
uh,
And that was post Silver Linings playbook too, man. We got to
yeah.
see up close what Philly fans are like, and Bryce Harper's like, get some of that shit.
That's good shit, brother.
And Bryce Harper went full Dewey Cox on playing
Yeah.
sports in Philly.
You don't want none of this.
Yeah, for real. Takes all your
Heck yeah,
bad
man.
feelings and turns them into good feelings. You don't want any. Tim Meadows is so. Tim Meadows is a guy that I think makes me laugh every time he does anything, and I never. He belongs on every list, and I never put him. I got to start remembering that guy. That guy cracks me up, man.
Oh man, Tim Meadows is one of those guys that I completely forget is in uh, semi-pro,
Dude,
and
oh, dude, seriously,
so,
man.
It's like, man, put me on the team. It's like, you're a terrible basketball player. Man, I think his phone's probably about to die yet again after it done took a flat back on me.
Give me 2 seconds. I got one more thing I got to mention to the people. I don't want to ruin it, so it won't take very long. Netflix done did it again, and I thought I read a review for it that tried to make it sound like it was this obscure thing. I thought it was a big deal. I thought they had promoted it. Maybe I'm wrong. But I got together with my buds and looked at I'm Thinking of Ending Things, the new Charlie Kaufman.
Cool.
Here's what happened. I watched the movie, and then for the next 4 days, because when it got to the end, because of course it's Charlie Kaufman, I'm assuming the whole time written, directed by, because everything he does is, and it was, but it's a book. And the movie that I saw, if you tell me it's a notebook full of ideas and then trying to figure out a way to make them into one story, not cohesive story, but one story, I would believe you. The fact it's based on a novel shocked and amazed me, so I had to read it. So I watched the movie. I spent the next 4 days reading the book, and I promise I'm not going to get into similarities and differences. I will say that up to a very, very certain point, particular point in the book or movie, they're very similar. They're real similar, and so if you watched it and you liked it, feel free to read the book. Um, I liked the movie better. I thought where they went after that point in the book, it's very interesting, and there's one thing in it in particular that I can probably get you there without ruining it. Um, the thing that'll make you think of The Shining. That was very impressive to me. I loved that. But the thing about it is the book is cool. The movie's cool. I love Charlie Kaufman. I'm glad having him back in my life because I miss Charlie. Anomalisa didn't really do it for me. So I'm glad to be back with Charlie. But I do not know the name of the actress in that movie. But that is the movie. She is out of this world. Crap yourself fantastic. Absolutely incredible. And if you hate the movie, you could still watch for her and enjoy it. And I know this for a fact because one of the people I watched it with did not care for the movie, but that's the reaction. It was like the girl, the actress, I should remember her name, Jessie something. I'm sorry to say, I think it's Jessie.
Let's see what I can find out for
Thank you. I'm sorry, man. I appreciate you doing that.
That came up with nothing. Talk amongst yourselves.
I'm gonna give you a topic.
It says that in the cast there's Lucy, played by Jessie Buckley.
That's it. Thank you. And I should remember that because it's not that complicated. And I honestly don't remember Jesse because the names of the two lead actors are both Jesse.
Yeah, Jessie Buckley plays Lucy. Then Jake is played by Jesse Plemons.
That's the guy that he plays Phil Hoffman's kid in The Master. He's been in several things, but excuse me. If you like Charlie Kaufman, definitely check it out. If you want to see something that's not like other things you've seen, check it out.
Okay.
But if the number one thing is if you want to see, if there is an Oscar ceremony this year, if you want to not only see who should win Best Actress, but you want to see the clip that they should run for. And this thing is, there are multiple scenes that this fit. But there's this one thing, and I'm sorry to keep talking about this, but there is this one scene in it where she's talking to Jake about having written a poem. And he's all like, hey, we just report, tell me about it. It's all good. She's like, man, I'll show it to you later. And he's like, no, I like hearing it in your voice. And I can't really describe what happens. And the thing is, the poem is unbelievable, and it turns out there's a reason for that, and it's because it's apparently a famous poem. The poet is Eva H.D., and I did not know any of this, none of it. I learned all of this. It was great. It's one of the reasons I like the movie so much because I got this poem out of it. It's called Bone Dog. The poetess, her name is Eva H.D. I love the poem. It's great. But it's the recitation of it in that movie. Holy crap. That scene is absolutely amazing. And it's not even an hour into the movie, and it's like, I am going to love this. I don't care what happens after this, because that it's just, I was telling my friends when we watched it, I was like, I hope that there's an Oscar ceremony this year just so that can be the clip they run when she is nominated for Best Act. It is outstanding. And if you watch just up to that scene and it doesn't do it for you, you cut it off, hey man, you're not out very much time, but it's worth watching. She's worth seeing in that scene. So, incredible. A very, again, I liked the book. I loved the movie. I thought it was great. And it does. The parallel that I drew with it was Inland Empire, where we've talked about it. Dave with no leash, you wind up interesting places. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's just like, if you tell me that you thought it ran on a little too long, I probably agree with you. If you tell me that some fat could have been trimmed, I probably agree with you. And the same thing with this one. It just, when it starts to veer, it veers so, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there's a very particular thing that happens. I'll say it this way, and then I'll leave it alone. Basically, for me, in the movie and the book, when they actually make it to the school, that's everything in the book and the movie are the same, really, really very similar up to that point. No, no poem, but still, for the story itself, they're pretty similar. But there are just certain little quirky things that are represented in the story, but seeing them visually represented in the movie, it was just like, I think maybe I wasn't smart enough to catch them in the written word. But when you see them, you see them. Oh boy,
Yeah.
it was good. I'm thinking of ending things. Really good stuff. Real good stuff. I can't recommend either one highly enough, but especially the movie. It's fantastic.
Cool. Can't hide that stuff from me on the screen.
For
I'm
real,
on to
man.
you.
I say, hey man, hey, I done seen it because you put it in the movie for me to see. Excuse me.
Kids, that's my plan.
Talking about, man.
Heck yeah, man.
Take it easy, y'all. We'll
I'll
see you, brother.
see ya. Bye.